Welcome to the Sensible Transfers episode on the OSO Spurs podcast, where today we're going to be going over some potential signings that make sense, but where we're going to go a little bit deeper for you is really looking into the strength of the squad today and how it's factoring in homegrown limits, club-grown limits, and under-21 players that we have in the squad. Also, which players are set to go out, looking at salaries and also contract dates. When we put all this data together, we're going to give you a nice visual of what we think the squad looks like today, what our squad's going to look like going into Europe this coming season, and which players we need to prioritise and bring into that squad. And to discuss it all, our expert on the Eredivisie, is that right, Stu? And the Serie A. Stu, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. I'm very good. And our expert in Gaelic football is Johnny.
Don't call me an expert on them.
I was waiting for you to say Deej, because it's not me. Gara Bajapers, thanks for that. Yeah, how are you, Jim?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm doing well.
Good man.
I'm doing good. And our expert in all things tactics and the MLS, it's Deej.
I'll tell you the first thing about the MLS. I know Marco Reus is coming here, going to the Galaxy.
I didn't know that. So there you go.
There we go.
Does Beckham still play for them?
You probably could.
But let's jump into it, shall we, guys? I've put together some. Got it. If you can all see that there. So, for those who are watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see the screen. If you're listening on audio, that's fine. We'll just talk about it, and it'll all make sense. But what we've done, we've put the Spurs players into 4 buckets: non-homegrown players, homegrown players, club-grown players, and under-21 players. Now, the reason this is important is because of the limits on squad registration, both in Europe and in the Premier League. And you are limited to 25 players in both those competitions. And there's a slight rule variance between the Premier League and Europe. But let's just use Europe for this one, because if you get the European rules right, that squad will automatically also qualify for the Premier League. Absolutely fine. So 17 of those 25 players are allowed to be non-homegrown. So a homegrown is defined as prior to the age of 21, they've had 3 entire seasons playing in the English Football League for an English football club of some kind, or at least registered to that club. They don't have to be playing first team football in the Premier League, as an example. Under 21 players are completely exempt from all of this, by the way. So if a player is still under the age of 21, they can be registered without taking up a registration spot.
Except for in some cases in the Europa League, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, so that's where do you want to touch on that quickly, Deej, so you can explain that bit?
Yeah, so basically the way that the rules work in the Europa League, and thank you to Football Manager for making me acutely aware of this, because this caused some strife for me in a save recently. But basically, U21 players only can be counted on the B list, which is where you put the U21 players essentially. If they've been with the club for a period of 2 years or a period of 3 years with a maximum of 1 loan in that time period. So essentially, because he hasn't been with the club for a period of 2 full seasons before he turns 21. But most of our under 21s players will count because obviously they've been with the club for a long time. But players that haven't been here for long enough to meet the 2 straight years, or basically a year alone and another year, can't go on the B list, which means they have to be named to the main list, which means that they're subject to the regular registration rules.
So even if they're under 21, they have to have been a part of that club for 2 years to qualify under the keep saying like European Union, like it's
the UEFA rules, yeah.
UEFA rules, we should call it UEFA rules. Okay, so I think that's pretty clear. Right? There are some other intricacies about like the turning point of what date actually constitutes an under 21 player and all those kind of things. But let's not overcomplicate things right now. We might dive into that if we come across specific players that are impacted by those. But so that's clear. 25 players maximum in the squad. Only 17 can be non-homegrown. Which leaves you with 8 that have to be homegrown. But with the UEFA rules, you have to have 4 club grown and 4 homegrown, which are slightly different rules. And obviously club grown's more about playing for that specific club for those number of years before turning 21. So all clear so far. So what we've done, if you can see on the screen, we're putting all the players into these brackets to see how healthy the situation is, because this is an issue for Tottenham at the moment, and explains why you might think, why on earth are we linked to Hudson-Odoi? Why on earth are we linked to Ivan Toney? All these kind of players that help alleviate that challenge that we have around the limits, which we're currently facing. So what we're going to do then is try and build a team out of this, but we're going to first go through it and figure out who we're keeping, who we want in that squad ideally, and who would potentially loan out. All good, guys? If we run through that together. So I think we're going to start with our Big Vic, of course, and I think that's a pretty self-explanatory one, right?
I'm storming out if we don't keep him in.
So what I'll do is I will update the colours. So we're going to keep Big Vic, and we're going to go for green as keep. We'll go for yellow as red as sell, yellow and loan.
That sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Emerson Royale.
Sounds like he's on his way to AC Milan somehow. I need to find his agent and have him work for me in my day-to-day life. I'd have a ridiculous job in no time. But yeah, to be I'm joking a little bit. He's a fantastic player for specific types of systems. It's just not the system that we play, and I'm excited to see him go and hopefully succeed somewhere else that will play in a style that's more fitting to his strengths.
Yeah, agree. But he's likely to sell, right? We can get money for him. Someone's interested in him. So I think we can skip through Dragosin. We're obviously going to be keeping him. We're obviously going to be keeping Udogi.
Yep. Romero's not going anywhere.
Are we sure? Do we really want to deal with his attitude issues?
or Dragosin? Are we sure his agent's not going to sell him this summer?
We obviously want to sell Regulon.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a non-homegrown players for those who are listening rather than watching, right? We're going through first. So the issue we have with the non-homegrown thing is we've got a limit of 17 we're allowed in the squad, and we've got a huge surplus. So we need to sell some, regardless of even if these are all amazing players, we'd need to alleviate the list a little bit by reducing headcount there. So Bentancur, I'm sure this is a player that we start to get a cash in now, shout from someone at the back, but I think the majority would say keep. Definitely.
Yeah. Even if we did want to cash in, I think that a season of him healthy, which hopefully we get, would increase his value tremendously, because right now he's kind of been this has still been his injury-ridden season, and he's like, you could see at the end of the season he was starting to get back towards the form that made us all like fall in love with him when he came with Kulusevski. So I think that another season of him is definitely good, even if you are of the mind that we should start to think about making money off of him soon. I don't think that we're in any rush to sell him.
All the kind of physio experts were saying it would take at least a year after his injury to come back. So next year, hopefully, we'll see the Bentancur that we all fell in love with.
Yes, I think he's definitely done more than enough to justify getting an extra season to find his form again, hasn't he? Bissouma, what's people's thoughts? Is he a keep or is he a...
I think that Ange seems to love him because he played him every chance he could. And towards the end of the season, I also thought he started to show not quite the levels he was at the beginning of the season, but he was beginning to show some form again.
Yeah.
So I think we'll keep him. And also because I think we're going to need another 6 if we get rid of him, and I'm sure we're going to agree some others who need to leave. Then we'll need to buy 2, which isn't going to happen.
But Højbjerg, I think we're all agreements gone.
Yeah, I think send him to Napoli or wherever.
Bayern.
Lo Celso is another one. There's 1 year left in his contract, I believe, Stu, isn't it? You looked at that.
Yeah, 1 year left, and he's been linked already to a return to Betis.
Yes.
Okay. So then we've got Mana Solomon.
He's...
A bit of opinion.
Can I just ask there about the Spanish clubs in terms of what sort of funds you're going to get back? I mean, I don't think there's... Yeah, exactly. I think this is going to be a big theme, though, isn't it, over the summer, regarding what we're willing to accept, where in the past we probably, with the model that we have for transfers, not been willing to sell at the lower kind of price range.
Though with players like Lo Celso, I think that especially them being in the last year of the contract, it'll open up the possibility of accepting a lower sum without like weakening your bargaining position for other players, if that makes sense.
I
Because
think
like,
we only bought him, didn't we, for about 25 million
yeah,
after the loan fee. So his book value will only
That's
be about
right.
5 million. So anything above that, we're fine.
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to do, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Johnny, is part 2 of this episode, and we'll break it up in 2 parts because it's quite a long episode, is going to be going into how much we estimate to get from these sales and looking at our current PSR estimated spending limits based on the new rules, and then working our way down the list of players we think we need to sign and kind of putting a lot of logic behind this to figure out is it actually a realistic squad we're building and how that impacts the rules that we're discussing now we need to be mindful of. But so yeah, what are we saying on Solomon, guys? Gone?
See you later.
I would like to get him. I just don't think he can stay healthy enough to
No.
be a consistent contributor to the squad. That being said, I am not sure he'll be sold, and if he's not sold, I'm fine with him staying as long as we sign
I
I'm saying cover for him, but a player above him in the pecking order so that he doesn't have to be someone that we rely on because he was fit for like 10 games this season.
I think in the case of Solomon, I mean, everyone says he's good, but I also think it's going to be hard to sell someone who's missed a whole season due to injury. So I wouldn't be surprised if we either keep him or send him out on loan. I think
That is
selling
my
him will
thought
be tough.
as well. I think he might be a good like loan candidate if we need to get a player off the books to keep our non-homegrown status in check.
Yeah.
So maybe yellow him.
He didn't cost us anything, though, did he?
No, he didn't.
So, well, yellow's loan, but I'll put him as an orange. I'll create a new colour for Mana. Put him as a...
Leave somehow.
What we can do is we can put him as
Ian Dombele color.
Like just peach, actually. We'll put him as a nice peach colour. There you go, Mana.
There we go.
We'll figure it out with you later, depending on how other things go. But Brian Hill's gone.
Gone.
No need to waste that energy on that. Kulusevski,
He's staying.
Absolutely staying.
I know some people. There's going to be some players like Richarlison and others that people are going to say, no, we should get rid. But can I just explain that when you look at this list and all the reds, if you're watching our screens and listening to how many we've got to sell first, these players are not the issue right now with the squad. Like there may be a debate for if an amazing offer came out of nowhere, but for the sake of this pod, we're just going to breeze past those kind of ones as keep. So Richarlison, I think, is another that we'd rather improve on but keep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Son is another keep.
Mm-hmm. He's not going anywhere.
Werner is, well, he's on
Obviously.
loan.
He's
we just signed him.
So players on loan to us, that's a good one. I'll put you in pink, Timo.
They can keep him in green though, because he's still going to have to be registered.
True. Green. Tanguy and Dombele.
I think he goes in the peach, unfortunately. Like he's a sell if you can, but I don't know if we can with the wages he's on.
No.
He's paying those wages.
Yeah, those wages are gonna, I think, make him pretty impossible to move on.
Yeah.
He's in the last year of his contract, but I think he'll probably just go out on loan again. And
is it finally his last year of his contract?
I believe so.
Yay!
Yeah.
Okay,
But the thing is, like everyone's saying, we should tear up his contract, but that's going to cost us about 20 million on the books. So I can't see that happening.
He's going to be sat with the under 21s or shot to the moon or something.
Yeah.
So Pepe Matasar is not under 21. He is a non-homegrown player. So obviously
He's staying. Yep.
Now we're into the homegrown bracket. So this explains why our kind of keeper situation is a bit of a...
How many have we decided to keep? How many greens?
So we decided to keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
13.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I got 15 here. I'm counting.
Oh.
I'm counting.
I didn't count the orange one.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well,
9,
if we read them out loud
10,
for those
11,
on the
12.
audio, we got
Yeah.
Vicario, Porro, Dragusin, Udogi, Romero, Van der Ven, Bentancur, Bissouma, Kulusevski, Richarlison, Son, Werner, and Sarr. So 13 players that we are planning to keep. So that's 13 non-homegrown players that we're planning to keep there. Cool. All in agreement
Mhm.
there.
Yep.
So next one is the homegrown page. So Fraser Forster in goal. Now, this is where things get difficult, and Stu and I have debated this a few times, haven't we? But I'm kind of in the camp of got to upgrade that backup keeper. We've got look at our backup keepers. We've got Fraser Forster, Brandon Austin, Alfie Whiteman. But having had a look at us, and originally we were saying we have to keep him because he's homegrown and we don't have enough homegrown players. But based on that, we do have space for a couple of non-homegrowns. Maybe we should come back to the end. But Forster, anyway, keeping him for now.
Yeah, there's no reason to get rid of him. I don't think anyone will give us a good fee for him, and he's on,
His
I think,
wages are
reasonable.
quite high. He's only got a year to go.
Yeah, I think we just...
No one's taking him on 70k a week.
Nope.
Yeah.
Austin,
Well, he just signed a new contract.
Just
No
signed a
way he's
contract,
leaving.
yeah.
Whiteman.
Whiteman only has 1 year left. So I think we either sell him or there's no point in him, really.
Yeah.
Just leave him there and impeach.
Or the only thing that could be interesting, and I was thinking about this morning, is we keep him as the third goalkeeper and then Austin goes out and actually gets game time somewhere on loan.
That is possible, yeah.
So, but let's put him as a keep then for now. I guess he's going to probably have his last year at Spurs, and we'll see. But Davies, who is now homegrown thanks to a rule change.
He apparently wants to leave.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I
would be
would...
rushing to get rid of him.
Me personally, I would like to keep him. If he wants to
same.
leave, that's
Same.
kind of that's him. But I would still. I'm not taking what the players want into account here for most of this.
So we want to keep him.
Yeah, I would keep him.
I think Ben Davies is want to keep, but may have to
Model
leave.
pro.
Yeah.
So we're going to say he's going to. So we have to go on the side of caution here. So we're saying, we can't. Well, we can't force him to stay. But are we saying he's going to be in the squad more likely than not next season?
One year left on his contract, though, as well. It depends if we want to recoup any money for him.
I think he's going to just stay then and go.
And he's 30, 31 now. You're not going to get that much money from Mario, really.
No. 5 million.
Sessegnon's gone. We'll keep Davies then. Sessegnon's gone. Skip. He wants to leave, doesn't he?
Yeah, he wants
Skip
to go.
does want to leave.
And
I wouldn't want to get rid of him, though.
No, I'd keep him.
Considering
But
their
they're club grown.
situation.
I want to keep him, but there's a reality here that he might force a move, right?
But he's still got 3 years left on his
He's still
contract.
got 3 years. He ain't going anywhere.
And he's not just homegrown, he's club grown, so I don't think we can afford to let him go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did read something though on Skip that he might not, because of his loans, might technically not be club grown.
No, he grew up.
No,
with us.
he as long as he spends 3 years with us between 15 and 21, and he definitely
spent
did that.
1 year on loan. Yeah, he spent only 1 year on loan.
He'll be fine.
Okay. Oh yeah, you are right that he is definitely club trained, so I'll put him in the correct column there. Into club grown. So we've skipped one there. So Skippy, we'll put you in green. We're going to hold you
twice.
hostage.
Yeah, you've got. I think
He was already there, Jim.
Oh, okay. All right. So I will fix that.
I thought you did it intentionally, that you've got them twice
Yes,
in the
so
homegrown
did
and club grown because of the European rules.
Actually, let's keep it at that.
Because Brandon Austin's there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Alfie Whiteman. I think that's what you did on purpose.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay, let's just leave it there. Then I probably have done that on purpose. So there you go, Skippy. You're staying with us, mate. Madison's obviously staying.
Obviously staying.
I am definitely staying. Johnson's
Going
staying.
nowhere.
Rodham's
going.
gone. Spence.
Yeah.
Whatever we can figure out.
8 million to Genoa.
Yeah,
Genoa.
I think Spence probably read. I think we'll probably be able to give a cut price fee to Genoa.
They're interested in him.
Yeah.
Troy Parrott
Sterling or Euro, Joe?
is the one that I've had the most issue figuring out. I think because
Troy Parrott.
Yeah.
because I want him to go out on loan to continue developing. But the way that the squad is built, especially with club grown being such an issue for us, think he might need to stay. It's either he needs to stay or we'll be relying on our under 21s players because like we said before like I said before, the B list, you can name an unlimited number of players as long as the player has been with your club for at least 2 years while under the age of 21, or 2 years plus a loan in between, so like year loan year. So you don't actually have to name 4 club grown players. You just have to leave an empty spot in your registration if you do.
Yeah.
So we could keep Parrott, and then he would be a club grown player, and then he would be like a part of our squad. Or we could technically not. We could like loan him or sell him, depending, and then use someone like Dane Scarlett.
Parrott wants to stay as well openly, doesn't he? He says he wants to fight for a spot at Spurs. It's one of those things where he's had 3 good games, and suddenly we're all like, actually, maybe this guy could turn it around.
But he hasn't had 3 good games, though. If you look at his goals per minute, it's up there with the best in the league, and he played for a side that got relegated.
Well, let's say keep then, shall we, for the sake of...
I mean, also, if you look at it, who would you prefer is our backup? Scarlett, who, to me, hasn't shown anything, or Parrott, who's just had a great year?
Yeah. Okay, let's keep him, because I think we're not in a luxury position here, because this includes all our club grown players as well, right? In fact, we've got Keeley and Santiago and some other ones like that. But ultimately, we're looking at a homegrown and club grown pool of Fraser Forster, Brandon Austin, Alfie Whiteman, Ben Davies, Oliver Skipp, Troy Parrott. Like these aren't. I've obviously got James Madison and Brennan Johnson there, but we're not spoilt with choice, and we need to potentially get up to 8 people out of that list. This is where it's starting to become an issue for us. So I don't think we're in a position to say to Troy, Parrott, you're not worth the risk, go away. He needs to be...
Unless we sign somebody else who, like Mark said, that Deej was talking about the other day.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I think that's why the next episode we need to look at this is highlighting for everyone why it seems like we're really pursuing those homegrown players that are available in the market that are raising some eyebrows, because we have left ourselves with this issue where we could be going into Europe with a squad of, say, 21 instead of 25 at the rate we're going.
Well, if you look at it the way we've just done it, we've kept 21 players, of which 8 are homegrown. So we still have room for 4 more players, which could be all foreigners or a split.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we do have the club grown handled as well.
And just to correct on the foreigners part, because technically, this is a rule thing I only learned this year, it doesn't matter what your nationality is, you could still be homegrown.
Yep.
If you're not an English player. It's all about training at that club for that amount of time. Playing in the EFL for a minimum of 3 years before your 21st birthday, regardless of where you're from. It's not about nationality. Where equally, Eric Dyer trained in Portugal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was not homegrown.
Correct.
Well, if you look at that list, we've already got Santiago, Keeley, and Parrott, who are all non-English.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's true. So, talking of which, the club grown, we've been over. So we've
been over most of them.
Austin, we're obviously keeping. We've already said it's Austin, Whiteman, Skipp, Parrott, Tanganga, Keeley, and Santiago. We've been over all of them except for Keeley and Santiago. So, I assume.
Yeah, I think they need to go on loan.
I think both of them need to go on loan or sold if the right prices.
Keeley's, I mean, he's a youngster, and apparently he had a really good loan.
I would keep Keeley. I don't know. I think Santiago would have had a chance in an actual chance. I know he was named to the bench a couple of times, but I think he would have. I don't know. Maybe he does need a loan.
So Santiago was one of the best players in the under-21s this year.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah.
Sorry, Johnny. Go.
No, I was just saying, would you get any money for Alfie Whiteman and keep Keeley for the fourth goalkeeper position? I don't know. Or would he be better off for his development to go off and actually try and play for a League One team I don't know.
I'd like to see him in League One. Probably.
I think, if you look at some of our kids in the past, the likes of Kyle Walker-Peters and Skipp, their developments all stagnated because they weren't getting game time.
Yeah.
So I would hope that we don't make that mistake anymore, and any of our promising kids we send out to actually get game time.
So let's say we're going to loan out, so because this is important time because we're going into the under-21s column now, right? Of which we've got these players do not need to be registered, so we can have as many of these as we like to help boost the squad numbers up. And to be fair, there's a couple of good names in there. So we've got Bergvall's the standout one, right? He's a green, he's staying, and he'll be in the squad.
The only thing, Deej, correct me if I'm wrong, but Valise and Bergvall both won't qualify for Europe.
Nope. They would not qualify to be on the B list. They have to be named to the main one, which means that they'd have to be listed as non-homegrown until they've been here for 2 years. So eventually, Bergvall and I don't think Valise, but Bergvall, I know if he stays here for the next 3 years, will eventually be club grown. But before he's club grown, he's still like foreign. It doesn't matter like what he's going to be, if that makes sense. So for Europe specifically, Bergvall is in non-homegrown, but for the league, he's in under 21.
So he's in both homegrown and homegrown.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the same for Valise.
Oh my word! I need to make space in this column. Can I just?
Well, Valise is going to get loaned out anyway, so I don't think that one's as big of a worry.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, let's go through the list. You won't have to add it anyway, Jim, because we're going to loan Valise, hopefully to a championship side.
Yeah. So we're keeping Bergvall, and then Valise. So let's stick this list to the European list, because I think if you've got the European squad right, your Premier League squad's also fine, right?
Yeah, the Premier League squad is easier to do than the European one.
But if we do the European one, that's, I guess, what we need to build. But anyway, so Phillips, loan, did you say?
Yeah.
It depends if we bring in a centre-back or not.
I think we will, and I think we'll probably loan out Phillips. I think that most of the names in this list will probably be loaned, except for maybe Dane Scarlett, depending on what we do with Parrott.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Loan.
And Bergvall's the only one who's definitely staying.
Bergvall. I'd also...
Divine, Valise, and Scarlett loan.
Scarlett's a bit weird. I'd like to see him go on loan, but
me too.
I think, like I said, it kind of depends, I think, on what we do with Troy Parrott. Because if we don't keep Parrott, if Parrott decides that he wants to move on, if Parrott wants to stay, I'm happy for him to stay. But if he decides he wants to move on to get guaranteed starter minutes in somewhere like the Eredivisie.
But the voices coming out are that he wants to fight first place.
Okay. If that's the case, then probably another loan for him. A loan for Donley. A loan for Dorrington.
Yeah.
I'm the most interested in what we're going to do with the name that's not on this list. And it's, obviously the under 21 player that I guess everyone talks about the most, I would say.
He's under 18 player.
Yeah, exactly.
Play for the under 21s.
Yeah.
Well, he's technically under 21 still. Mikey Moore.
Let's optimistically say keep with Mikey Moore, and that he's going to get a couple of 20-minute cameos in the Europa League.
I don't think there's any way we're sending a 17-year-old out on loan. A 17-year-old who's never played a minute for the under 21s.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, let's say he's going on loan. Okay, so here's what the squad looks like in terms of players we are most likely to be including in the squad next year. It's Vicario, Porro, Dragusin, Udogi, Romero, Van der Ven, Bentancur, Basuma, Kulusevski, Richarlison, Son, Werner, Sarr, Bergvall, Forster, Austin, Whiteman, Davies, Skip, Madison, Johnson, Troy, Parrott, and maybe Scarlett. So next thing I was going to do is, should we build our 11 now so we can see what it looks like and where the gaps are that we need to fill this transfer window?
Because just by my rough math, I think we've left 3 spots to bring in a forward, a 6, and a wing back, a right back, and that's it.
Yes. That being said, currently we are still keeping 4 goalkeepers, which is why when we talk about sensible transfers, I will be fighting hard for one of Kyle Walker-Peters, who I think is probably a bit of a stretch, and more specifically Marcus Edwards, because if we can get another club trained player, I think that would be massive in allowing for us to be able to have that sort of like mobility to not name 4 goalkeepers, because why would we name 4 goalkeepers? So, we can do things to open up slots. It's just that we need to be smart about some of the purchases we buy, of the players we buy in the summer.
I would agree with that. I just don't personally see the point in Marcus Edwards because he's not good enough to start, and we already have too many players who are not good enough to start on the wing.
I think Marcus Edwards is. I see Marcus Edwards as a deal and then we send Solomon out on loan. I see him as basically a Solomon replacement.
So let's build towards that, right? Because I've got another lineup graphic put together for you all today. So we're going to build the team. And if you're just listening to it on audio, but basically it's just the formation we play on a screen, and we're going to build the team, because it's important to visualize it like this, because we might have enough players for the squad. We might have 7 left backs and 1 right winger. So then obviously things become an issue.
4 goalkeepers.
Yeah. So I don't know why I put international there. The actual term should be non-homegrown. I will correct that momentarily. But and I'll also send all these graphics out afterwards when I tweet it out, so you can actually view them on our Twitter page at Oso Spurs and see what we've made during our arts and crafts episode today. So let's start with strike. Do you want to work away from the back to front or front to back?
Yeah, it's probably easier to start with the keepers, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got Vicario as number 1 and Forster as number 2.
Or Austin.
I think Austin's more likely to be 2 now, isn't he?
I do. I think Austin will be second.
5-year deal he just signed.
Yeah.
Okay. But we got Forster, who's going to be non-homegrown. Actually, I better make this match the colours of the other one as well. So non-homegrown is going to be... actually, no, it's fine. Just put
it's great.
Yellow. It's fine. Yellow.
You can't read it, though.
Okay. I will
Poor Jim spent all that time making the beautiful graphics.
I'll choose another colour. I'll find one that works. Okay. Anyway, Vicario, I'm going to have as obviously he's number 1 and he's going to be non-homegrown, and I don't know why this is all messing up, but
nice.
Just ignore me. Yes.
Austin needs to be green.
So Forster is he is homegrown.
Homegrown.
But he's not club grown.
So Austin is club grown.
Austin,
isn't he?
Yeah, so Austin's green and Forster is blue.
Yeah.
And we've got Whiteman at the moment as well, haven't we?
Yeah. I think it's either going to be Austin or Whiteman. I don't think as DJ.
I don't think we carry fuller goalies.
Okay.
I think worst case scenario we've got Gunter.
Yeah. Cool. So we've got Vicario, Forster, and Austin. And we've got kind of weird mix there because we have 1 of each. But moving on to the next position on the pitch, we'll go for left back, shall we? We've got Destiny Udogie.
And Davies.
Yeah.
Davis.
And is Davies even a left wing back now? Or do we see more of a left centre back?
I think he's right. Well, he can put him in both. I mean, that's kind of what he's doing now. It's whoever doesn't play there is.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's definitely an area that it might be nice to get another player who can play that position.
Yeah.
Same with right back, especially now that Emerson seems to be on the way out.
Exactly. And this is starting to highlight the issues, right? The squad's imbalance, because what we're saying is we've got 2 left backs in the squad.
1 left centre back.
1 left centre back in Van der Ven.
On the fan.
Who is non-homegrown, obviously. And then right centre back, we have got 2, fortunately. We finally got that position kind of sorted out with Romero. And,
2 good ones as well.
We did it.
2 very good ones. And technically, we could argue that Dragusin can play on both sides.
Dragusin can play on both sides, yeah.
So that's not actually too bad, that situation. So, yes. Cool. So, right wing back.
Only 1.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah,
only got
Bora,
Porro.
yeah.
We've only got Porro right wing back. So this is leaving us with an issue. When you look
Yeah.
at a squad depth now
Yeah.
at the back, we've got Vicario, Forster, and Austin as goalkeepers, and I'd argue Vicario is the only one of those three you could remotely rely on in a game. They can play out the back. We know that they can. Romero and Dragusin at right centre back, only Van der Ven at left centre back, and Udogie and Davies at left wing back. And for all of Davies' strengths, he's not a natural wing back, and I'd be concerned
No.
if to go more than a few games
Yeah.
with that as the situation.
Yep.
So, yeah, the squad needs some serious work by the looks of things so far. Okay, so we've got right central midfield position. Who would you start there? Because it's always a debate, right? Who starts here?
I mean, if we're going based not on heart but on what Ange does, it is. I mean, it depends on how you look at our formation, I guess. But if we're talking about our six, it's Basuma is going to start until proven otherwise.
Yeah. And in our
And then I
previous
guess Skip behind him.
skip behind him because we've said we're going to sell Højbjerg. So
Yep.
and so we've got
Yep.
Okay.
Is Sar going to go in that other space? To
I
the
think
left?
so. Yeah.
Yeah. He's never played him there.
Yeah.
So Sar, you're going to say put him on the left? You're saying here?
Yeah. I'd put Bentancur, Sar, and Bergvall.
Yeah.
Okay. Bentancur, Sar. Well, the good news is our midfield depth isn't actually that bad when you look at the left central midfield.
Yeah.
But you've got Bentancur, who
I mean, it's not, but you look at Sar and Bergvall, that's two kids.
Yeah. And when we look at the European rules, we've got an issue here as well. Sar's obviously not under 21 anymore, and he's not homegrown, so he's another spot that's used up on the non-homegrown. And Bergvall, because of the European rules in Europe, will not count as homegrown either yet. So he's also a non-homegrown player.
Yep.
So far in the whole squad, we've got 7 of the 11 positions filled. We only have Skip, Davies, Forster, and Austin, who are either homegrown or club grown, or under 21. So we're obviously going to go for Madison in the 10 position.
Yep.
Who is fortunately he is homegrown, so that helps us there. And then we have.
I suppose you could argue that Kulusevski can go in that position and in the not in Stu's opinion.
No way.
Okay, we won't put him there. We've got no backup for Madison then, do we?
We have no backup for Madison.
No, we don't.
That's
So,
Donnelly.
Not of the Celsos.
Mikey Moore.
He's left wing, doesn't he?
yeah.
You can play both.
So but realistically, we've got no cover there. So this is trying to expose where we need to get focus the transfer window. Because left wing, we've got obviously Sonny starts there as our primary,
Werner,
and then
Werner. And did we? Yeah.
And
then Solomon potentially.
If you
but what are we doing with? What do we do with him? Is he?
We said loan.
Okay.
So you can see now, like looking at when we're running through the team, like why, even though a lot of people won't want him, Werner is needed because we just have so many gaps in this team that need sorting this window. To be able to put a plaster over one, for now, saves a lot of hassle by looks of things because we're going to need so far already at least one centre back for left centre back, at least one. Well, we'd ideally need a left wing back and a right wing back. We might need another keeper. We possibly need to upgrade. A 6 we definitely do need, but someone who can at least give competition there. We need a 10 backup for Madison. We haven't even got to right wing or the centre forward issue yet. But right wing,
Johnson, I suppose.
Kulusevski
and Johnson.
So we've got 2 players there. You could argue neither are perfect for that position, but they're both good.
I think Johnson is pretty. I'm excited to see Johnson next season. I think he'll make that position his own. I'm gonna go back on my feelings on him in the beginning of the season. I think that he definitely wasn't the perfect player, but I think that he possesses the skill set to play that position under Ange's system better than Kulusevski can.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people discount the goal contributions, but I don't think you can discount it completely. And he was right up there with the best in the league. So,
And up front, we've got Richie, obviously.
and that's it.
And then we were going to say keep
Parrott?
Scarlett, right?
Parrott. We said Parrott.
Just put Parrott in there, and he's club grown, right?
He's club grown, yeah.
So what we've realised, we don't have a single under-21 player potentially going into this.
Well, we haven't really listed them, to be fair.
But potentially you could...
That's because we said
Bergwall
we're
is
gonna
half
look-
under 21.
Yeah.
So-
and the others we wanted to loan.
Yeah.
So if we look at the squad and where it is health-wise, so we're allowed 17 players that are non-homegrown. We have in there, we've got Richarlison, Son, Werner, Kulusevski, Bentancur, Sarr, Bergvall, Basuma, Porro, Dragusin. I fucked that up. Van der Ven, Udogi. So we've got 13, like we said earlier.
Yeah,
13.
yeah.
So we're fine there. We can actually afford to bring in
4.
four non.
It's 13 in the league and it's 14 in Europe.
Yeah.
The Bergvall.
Yeah. So we can bring in at least
3.5.
3 non-homegrown players. But thinking we got to get a backup 10, a centre forward, maybe a more natural right winger. We'll probably end up leaving left wing as is. I imagine, unless it's Eze, we can get in.
Yeah, I was going to say that Eze kind of fits
It's two
the
roles,
left
isn't it?
wing and the Madison backup.
Eze
And
would be
he's
such a
homegrown.
big signing. This list also makes me. I know that people don't like going back, but I think this list. I don't think it's like a reasonable signing for us. But man, Kyle Walker-Peters would fit as like a backup because he can play both sides. He's club grown. He would make a lot of the issues in our squad go away very quickly.
What we can do is now we can set the stall out for the next episode. We'll be going over how we fill these gaps with what players to get the squad in its right position, because right now it's full of gaps. We've only got 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 21 players available, and that's if you're counting Fraser Forster, Austin, Davies might not be there, Skip might not be there, Troy Parrott. There's suddenly you're actually looking at a squad really of 16 to 17 players, and we want to be competing on 2 fronts.
Yeah.
It's in a really difficult situation, the squad. So we'll be going over the outgoings, potential incomings, and a potential transfer budget in part 2. So if you want to see that, make sure if you're listening on the audio podcast, you have followed and auto downloads are switched on. And if you're on YouTube, you subscribe so you get notification when we publish the episode in a few days' time. But up the Spurs, I guess, guys.
Yeah, come on, you Spurs.
Spurs.